All right, folks, let's get ready to set our lineups for Fantasy Week 3. Starts and sits for the AFC home games. Today we'll talk Green Bay at Cleveland, Detroit at Baltimore, Houston at Jacksonville, Indianapolis at Tennessee, the Jets at Tampa Bay, the Chiefs at the Giants, Denver at the Chargers, and the Steelers at New England. Yes, there are a couple of NFC home games in there to balance out the slates. Adam Azer here with Jamey Eisenberg and Heath Cummings, and fired up, guys. Tonight we've got some. Who's going to win tonight?
It's gonna be a close one. Bills
Anybody
by a
who starts a Bill.
Hopefully, Jalen Waddle's questionable. We'll talk about that in a bit. Let's.
Oh, I should have said who you ask the question again.
Who's going to win tonight?
Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt.
I'm not following. Wait.
Just let it sit there.
Who's going to win tonight? Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. He's not playing tonight. Who's going to win?
Heath has it. I know Heath has it.
No idea. Heath?
He always wins.
Bill.
Bill. Okay.
Yeah, that was good.
That was good. Jamey, let's see what any other zingers you got. Who do we love this week? Give me a player we love.
I love low-hanging fruit when it comes to just easy calls, and Jordan Mason should be an easy call. So he's the start of the week this week. Like the setup for him, obviously taking on the Bengals. No Aaron Jones. He's going to get a lot of work. Last year he had 6 games with the 49ers with at least 14 carries, and he averaged over 15 PPR points per game in those 6 games. So he's off to a good start running the ball well. Hasn't been off to a great start fantasy-wise, but this should be the opportunity you were waiting for while you drafted him. And the concern was last year Aaron Jones played through these injuries. This year now out for the next 4 games. So big opportunity in front of Jordan Mason, and he should take advantage of it in this matchup.
You think you like Jordan Mason. Heath has Jordan Mason 5th or something like that. Jamey has him 10th. So, and Dave's a little bit lower on him. So I know he wants to talk about that tomorrow, and he will, but everyone's got him as a start. So start Jordan Mason. Heath, who do you love this week?
I don't love anybody as much as I love Jordan Mason, but I think there's some people who have been a little disappointed with what they got from DeAndre Swift so far, and I think that this week it's going to be a lot better. This game has an over-under of 50.5. The Bills, Cowboys, Bears, whoever. The Bears are actually favored. Swift's averaging 17.5 touches per game. This is the worst defense he has faced yet. Expect the Bears to score 4 touchdowns, and at least one of them will go to DeAndre Swift.
Do you worry at all? 2 things, because I'm with you. I think Swift has a good game, but do you worry at all about this injury and the fact now that maybe they give more work to other guys? Because the appeal of Swift, which I know is why you liked him, was nobody else. And, you know, Monangai got some work at the end of last week, and now Roschon Johnson's 2 weeks healthy. Do you have any worry that maybe somebody else gets some touches?
I think somebody else could get some touches in this game, and DeAndre Swift could still be awesome. This is going to be the bonanza.
Yeah, it should be.
I said it.
Well, someone had to say it. No, we're obviously excited about this Dallas-Cincinnati game. All right, players to avoid. Jamey, give me a sit.
I don't like a lot of the Lions this week. I think that's fairly obvious as well. You know, taking on the Ravens outdoors is not a great spot for them. So Jared Goff started the week last week, and this is going to be a bad week for Jared Goff. So I would try to avoid him. I'll just package him and Jameson Williams together. These are the 2.
Good, it wasn't me.
Yeah, me too. I was like, oh, did my computer? He and Jameson Williams. Okay, we'll come back to that in a little bit because there's one thing that I think. Let's knock Jamey out here.
I'm gonna knock you out.
There's one thing that is encouraging, I think, and outside when we get to one question for each game. But I understand the hesitation with the Detroit passing game outdoors against the Baltimore Ravens. Who are you avoiding, Heath?
TJ Hockenson. There seems to be a lot more people who think this Vikings offense might be better with Carson Wentz than JJ McCarthy. And maybe it will be. But Carson Wentz has been pretty terrible each of the last few years when he's been given an opportunity to start. The biggest problem with JJ McCarthy, he's still averaging 7 yards per attempt, I think. The biggest problem with JJ McCarthy has been the fact that they aren't throwing the ball at all.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure they're going to throw the ball at all here.
So Heath is coughing. Jamey is not. I just have to fill time.
No, I'm here. I got a little chest congestion in week 3, so it's early, but I am on the injury report. But no question if I'm playing or not.
Okay, so who don't you like?
Hockenson? I said TJ Hockenson.
Oh, okay. I was like, geez, not Jefferson.
No, I talked about. Well,
no Hockenson. Okay.
Yeah, I Hockensoned it out.
All right, TJ Hockenson. Oh boy, I have him in a couple leagues, and I have no choice. I think if Goddard plays, I'm probably going to start Goddard over him. But
actually, we give Hockenson one more week this week. I think Carson Wentz is good for him. There was just I forget where it was. Just happened to hear it before the news happened this week. Darren Sproles was complaining about how Carson Wentz would always throw to his tight ends instead of throwing to him, and it was like he was like legitimately pissed about it.
It's funny because Carson Wentz has a pretty high running back target rate. I was looking for that in terms of Jordan Mason, but another game we'll talk about tomorrow. For Monday night or for Thursday night injuries, Jalen Waddle is questionable. I'll come back to that in a moment. Jalen Wright is going to play. If you have Devon Achane, if you want his handcuff, are you Gordon or Wright?
I would anticipate probably a split if something happens to Achane, and based on this Dolphins offense right now, it's probably not a situation you want to buy completely into. So most of my Ollie Gordon shares have been dropped at this point, mostly because, I was waiting out Achane's preseason injury, and thankfully he's fine. So I would guess we'll have to see how this all shakes out if he does miss any time, but hopefully we don't have to deal with that at any point.
Okay. Darren Waller out, and then for Buffalo, 2 defensive injuries. Matt Milano and Ed Oliver are out, so big deal there. Didn't matter last week when Ed Oliver was out. So Jalen Waddle, questionable. Are we worried about him tonight? What should we be, doing here?
I would guess you just consider him a number 3 receiver. If you don't have to play him, don't. It's not going to be a great game for him. I don't think. So, I don't think he's one of those players that at this point in the season is a must play. So if you have concerns about his shoulder, about the matchup, about the situation, like find somebody else. I'd
rather start Keenan Allen or Wan'Dale Robinson.
Well, if he's out, if Waddle's out, are you going to bump Tyreek Hill up?
Not really.
You're starting Tyreek, so.
All right. By the way, I'm not sure if I said that this is Fantasy Football Today, presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. And football fans, you got to bring that playoff energy to your pro football bets all season long. This Pro Football Boost Pack gives you 3 ways to boost your payout on a winning bet. Just log into your BetMGM account to receive your Boost Pack, and then place any pro football bet and apply one of the tokens. Make sure to bet up to the minimum stake, odds, and legs specified on the token. If your boosted bet hits, you'll score a bigger payout. From opening kickoffs to game-winning drives, this Pro Football Boost Pack is your ticket to unforgettable moments this season. Don't wait on the sidelines. Join the action with BetMGM. Trivia question for you guys. I have a half PPR team, and my running backs are Omarion Hampton, RJ Harvey, Isaiah Pacheco, and Tony Pollard. Who has scored more fantasy points? My 4 running backs, Hampton, Harvey, Pacheco, and Pollard, or James Cook in half PPR?
Cook.
Your 4 running backs.
Correct, Jamey, by 1.5 points, my 4 running backs.
Heath, you got to know Azer questions at this point.
No, I didn't know the answer when I decided to make this a trivia question, so I knew you were going to say that. But, man, am I 0-2. All right, news and notes. Brock Purdy could play this week. Do you guys think he could start this week, or are they saying he might be the backup quarterback this week?
So what I read yesterday was he was 3rd in the position group based on the time he was out, the media was out there to watch. I'm guessing they're trying to just make sure he's ready and right. If he's 100% by Sunday, he probably starts. But I would go into it thinking he's not going to play. So if you have a decision, let's say Tua versus Brock Purdy, you should play Tua.
Well,
and really, if you have a Josh Allen versus Purdy, you should play Josh Allen. But if you're looking at it like, Mac Jones versus Tua, I'd play Tua also.
Oh, you'd play Tua over Mac Jones. I was going to say,
unless you have 49ers quarterback and Tua, then I'm waiting it out.
Fair. Okay. Jaden Daniels is not going to practice until Friday at the earliest. So, if your only options are Tua and Jaden Daniels, I think you probably need to start Tua. But
unless you, again, pick up Mariota.
Yeah, you could definitely do that. Zach Taylor didn't rule out Joe Burrow returning later this season. Still feel comfortable dropping him if you don't have an IR spot?
So I play in one league where the commissioner thinks that our benches are deep enough that they don't want to carry IR spots, so I had to drop him. Every other league where I have him, I'm just stashing him. It'll be a tougher call if you run into more injuries that are going to, be shorter term.
Justin Fields is out this week at Tampa Bay. We'll discuss that one in a little bit. Tyrone Tracy Jr. was limited with a calf injury. Jalen Wright, I mentioned, is going to play. Aaron Rodgers said he might have to throw to Jalen Warren more. He's very effusive in his praise of Jalen Warren. And Zach Charbonnet missed practice with a foot injury. Isn't Ken Walker the one supposed to get hurt? Zach Charbonnet, foot injury. He missed practice. Yeah, we don't go nuts over guys missing practice on Wednesday. We'll see if he's back on Thursday. Wide receiver news, and Ladd McConkey missed practice with a biceps injury. Again, don't know the severity there. You'll see a practice report before the Thursday night game for the Chargers. Jawan Jennings missed practice. Christian Kirk was limited. Xavier Worthy and Jalen Royals were both limited in practice. I did see that Heath has Worthy projected. Are we?
I have not updated yet. I'm going to do that as soon as the show is over. We are ranking Worthy, yes.
Okay, but it's not a guarantee that he's playing. Emeka Ibuka missed practice.
He told us he practiced in full, though, so I was going on the Kansas City Reporter.
I was going on Andy Reid saying he practiced without restriction. I assumed that meant in full.
I think he said that before. I think he spoke before practice and said he's going to practice without restriction. And then probably so they don't get in trouble, they listed him as limited.
Okay, but they did list him as limited, right?
Yeah, they did. I think you're right.
Okay. Emeka Ibuka missed practice and Josh Downs missed practice. Dallas Goedert was limited in practice. Evan Ingram missed practice with a back injury. Tyler Warren missed practice with a toe injury. Offensive line news, Andrew Thomas was limited. Maybe he gets back this week. Saints guard Trevor Penning, maybe he gets back this week. The Bucks, let's talk about the Bucks. Heath, are you worried about them? So Tristan Wirfs, he was actually limited. He's working his way back. But Luke Gedeke, their right tackle, he's out for weeks. And now right guard Cody Mock is out for the season. They've been using their center at left tackle. That'll change when Wirfs is back. But, this is rough for the Bucs offensive line. Concern going forward?
I'll be very worried because Ibuka did get banged up in that game on Monday night. If Ibuka needs to miss time on a short week, then I'll be much more worried about Baker this week. I think he's a starter.
All right, but I mean, are we thinking, oh man, they're not gonna be able to run the ball or anything like that, or we just put faith?
They ran the ball pretty well on Monday.
They did. I don't know I don't know how many snaps Cody Mock played in that game, but he is again out for the year. Their right guard, Cleveland guard Joel Bitonio missed practice. Tennessee has two starting offensive linemen, both on the right side of the line, missing practice, so that could make the Colts DST even better if Zeitler and Latham are out. Latham missed last week's game and Zeitler left it. And good news, Christian Darrisaw for the Vikings. He practiced in full. Doesn't mean he'll play this week, but it's probably, I guess, trending positively.
Do you see anything on Ryan Kelly?
No, I didn't. Concussion protocol for Ryan Kelly?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? No, I didn't see that. But we can take a look. Vikings injury report. Ryan Kelly did not practice. Thank you for bringing that up. And Justin School, the backup left tackle, did not practice either. Both of them are in the concussion protocol. On defense, the Bears had 5 defensive players miss practice. Dallas, Chicago looks like it could be a great game for fantasy.
Did you see, by the way, the first 2 NFC players of the week?
First 2 NFC players of the week. I think one was J.J. McCarthy. Mm-hmm. And who was number 2?
Jared Goff. And what do they have in common?
They played the Bears.
Yeah. Hello, Dak Prescott.
Okay. Atlanta cornerback AJ Terrell is going to miss some games with a hamstring injury, it seems. And edge rusher James Pierce missed practice. Christian Gonzalez was limited in practice. He could be back. I don't know if they're going to use him to shadow now that they have another cornerback that they like. But Christian Gonzalez could be bad news for DK Metcalf. We'll see. Khalil Mack for the Chargers. He's on IR with an elbow injury. Arizona is very beat up on defense as they get ready for San Francisco. Seattle's got some injuries in the secondary. 3 starters in the secondary missed practice. They have New Orleans this week. Ahkello Witherspoon, starting cornerback for the Rams, he missed practice, and he's on IR. And Braden Fisk, their defensive tackle, missed practice. So the Rams are a little beat up going to Philadelphia.
If only they played a team that threw the ball.
The Steelers are super banged up right now, and the Colts are getting a little healthier. So in summary, Bears, Cardinals, Seahawks, we'll see how that progresses throughout the week, and Steelers are very injured defenses. If you have start or sit questions, we're going to tell you about them. We're going to answer them for you on Sunday morning. Usually we're at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. This week we're going 2 hours on Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, youtube.com/fantasyfootball today. So join us from 11 to 1 p.m. Eastern to get your lineup set, youtube.com/fantasyfootball today. We've got one question for each game when we come back. All right, here we go. One question for each game. Green Bay is at Cleveland. 2 of the best run defenses in football so far. But my question, will you start any wide receivers in this game?
I would prefer not to, but
again.
Yeah, I agree with Jamey. I would prefer not to, but Judy, Romeo Dobbs, and Cedric Tillman are all low-end number 3, high-end flex types options, and I would start them in that order.
Okay. Judy's your favorite?
It is.
All right, so that was Green Bay at Cleveland. Detroit at Baltimore. Who's a better flex in this game? Jameson Williams or David Montgomery?
Ooh, that's a good question. They both probably need a touchdown to be any good this week, I would say, and I would prefer JMO just barely.
Okay, I got a troubling trend about Jameson Williams. It's his route depth, and I think we talked about this last week. He had a pretty high route depth in week 1, and we said, yeah, he's had high route depths before. But in week 2, I think it was even higher. And his weeks 1 and week 2 route depths have been higher than anything we saw in any individual game in 2024. So look, I mean, it's all noise right now, right? It's just 2 games. But I don't love that usage. Last year, one of the things that changed for Jameson Williams was he wasn't just a downfield guy. He wasn't just a big play guy. He was a, more consistent guy who did its damage in other ways. Right now, he's got one of the higher route depths, and that's not usually good for fantasy. It works for Justin Jefferson. It doesn't work for most wide receivers that have super high route depths. Jamey, you're back here. Did you want to expand on the question was who's a better flex, Jameson Williams or David Montgomery in Baltimore versus Detroit?
I would go Jameson in PPR just with the hope that he gets more involved.
All right. You can expand on your thoughts on the Detroit passing game because every time you talk about it, you cut out. Houston, we'll talk about the game in a bit. Houston at Jacksonville. Start or sit Brian Thomas Jr.
Starting him.
I'm starting him too, but just lowered expectations.
Yeah, very much so. I think Jamey's got him around 20th or so. Heath has him 7th, which is his number.
The targets are still there. I think it was a bad game. Everybody talked about it. Probably a bounce back this week.
There's some things going on there that are a little concerning. So just want to see how this game goes. Again, you're starting him, but there are some other options I would consider if you have him.
He's getting sting lead. He got sting lead in the second game he played last year against them, and he had a very big game, but most of the production was not on Stingley. Indianapolis at Tennessee. Is it finally going to be Tony Pollard week? The Colts are they allowed 8 yards, almost 8 yards per carry to Achane, 5.4 yards per carry to Dobbins. Heath, is it going to be Tony Pollard week?
You should start him. He's a top 20 running back.
Real quick, why do you guys like Jordan Mason so much better than Tony Pollard? I see their opportunities as pretty similar.
One is playing Cincinnati and getting his first chance to be the featured guy. One has had 2 weeks of being the featured guy and has not taken advantage of it in tougher matchups. But I still think that this scenario is better for Mason than it is for Pollard, despite the fact that you know that Pollard's still getting the work.
And one of them has an implied team total of, I think, 22 or 23, and one of them's around in the teens.
Okay. Tony Pollard has the 4th most carries in football and has run the 9th most routes among running backs. He's everything you want in a running back, but he only has 2 targets. Cam Ward is just not throwing to him. Jets are at the Bucs. How many of the wide receivers would you start over Breece Hall?
3.
I think I've got 2 right now.
This is a tough game. I mean, in terms of the start statistics, like the matchups, it's probably for the 3rd week in a row, Evans is going to get shadowed by a good cornerback. He's been pretty bad so far. The Bucs run defense is ridiculously good. I'm looking forward to breaking this one down. Kansas City's at the Giants. Wan'Dale Robinson or Isaiah Pacheco? Who's a better flex?
Wan'Dale.
In half PPR?
Wan'Dale.
Denver at the Chargers. How do you approach the Chargers wide receivers? Let's assume McConkey plays. Obviously, things change if he doesn't play, but he's 3rd on the team in targets, right? Or is he tied for 2nd? It's pretty close between the 3 of them.
I think Keenan Allen has a 27% target share, and Ladd McConkey has a 23% target share, and so does Quentin Johnston.
I heard that before.
It's close.
Start Ladd. Keenan Allen's a high-end number 3, borderline number 2, and Quentin Johnston's a number 3 for me.
I would be the most worried about Quentin Johnson this week because you know where he lines up, and the other 2 guys have a chance to move around a little bit more. And so boundary receivers do not do well against the Broncos. Johnston's history against the Broncos is not good. And so while he is playing great, this is the spot where he probably struggles. And so I would hope that this is the game where McConkey gets going, because the middle of the field is something that the Chargers can only take advantage of.
Yeah, I'm going to keep giving away all of my stats of the game, but my stat of the game for Chargers-Broncos is that the Chargers, they are 19th in pass rate right now, but in the first 3 quarters, they're 9th. And they led 20-12 going into the 4th quarter in week 1 and 20-6 going into the 4th quarter of week 2. So far, they are pass heavy, 9th in pass rate in the first 3 quarters of games. Pittsburgh at New England, start or sit Jaylen Warren?
I would rather start Jaylen Warren than Tony Pollard, personally.
Ooh.
I've got him back-to-back, but I'm starting him.
Okay. Jaylen Warren or Keenan Allen?
Warren.
Full PPR, it might be close. I've got Warren.
Okay. So he's pretty much a must-start guy. Green Bay is at Cleveland. So here's a repeat stat of the game. In their last 7 games of the regular season, the Packers allowed 3.2 yards per carry to running backs. They've been even better than that so far against Detroit and Washington. They are a ridiculous run defense. They're 3rd best in yards per carry allowed. Who's number 1? Cleveland. So 2 of the best run defenses so far. I know you're going to start Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs, by the way, his target per out run rate is 3.2%. Usually it's 18%, right around there. So he's just he has one of the lowest target per out run rates in football for any running back that's like regularly used. That'll change, but anyway, I wouldn't start Jacobs in DFS. I don't know if you guys feel that way, but I know you're going to start him. Any interest in a Browns running back, Heath?
I hope I don't have to. I'm hopeful that Quinshon Judkins gets worked in a little bit more this week, and then we can really maybe hope to start him in future weeks. He is 1 spot behind Isaiah Pacheco in my running back rankings. So that's, if you're behind Isaiah Pacheco.
Jordan Love is top 12. He's 12th for Jamey, 11th for Dave, and 10th for Heath. After the start he's gotten off to, Jamey, why isn't Jordan Love even higher?
Well, first off, he's gotten off to a great start the way he's playing. We haven't seen exactly the best fantasy production yet from him, from an elite quarterback. And so this is an interesting game, because if Jacobs does struggle to run the ball, will they air it out a little bit more? And will they put the ball in his hands, maybe, use his legs a little bit more? So I think he's just a very safe low-end starter. So when you start to, stack him up to maybe some of the higher-end backups who are playing, the Mac Joneses, the Jake Brownings, I would start Daniel Jones over Jordan Love this week, just based on the 2 starts and the matchups for each of them. I just think he's in that in that range of those guys. Like I don't want to buy fully into Jordan Love as a fantasy quarterback just yet, unless I need to.
Okay. Start Jacobs, and we already said we don't really want to start a Packers wide receiver. Obviously, if you have any questions in the chat, we will get to those. But it's just none of the receivers are quite consistent enough. But Tucker Kraft is a must-start tight end, right?
Yep.
Without doubt. I mean, he's top 5. I think the biggest question is like, a lot of my leagues run waivers on Wednesday, and Dobbs and Wicks were available. I said this on Tuesday. I would take a shot on Wicks before Dobbs, but it's going to be interesting to see how these guys operate this week. First full game without Jaden Reed. Wicks stepped up last week when Reed went down. The way that I sort of view this is Dobbs is going to be the most consistent, but doesn't have the higher ceiling. The highest ceiling is for Matthew Golden. The wild card in all this is Wicks. Like if Wicks, you go back to what he did 2 years ago, which is why everybody was so excited about him last year, is like he can do a lot of great things. Mm-hmm. He has a problem with drops. I think they have a problem trusting him fully, which is why they went on, they drafted Matthew Golden. And so I think across the board, the best thing would be is if Golden comes out, they feature him, he plays well, and then you may have a must-start guy rest away. But at this point, like the safest floor is Dobbs. The 2 upside plays are Golden and Wicks in that order for me.
Yeah, I really like the way they were using Wicks in motion. Just kind of picture it in your mind. He comes across the formation in motion. They snap the ball. He's basically got a running start. And then he basically runs an out route. He creates easy separation, and they just hit him for, 8 to 10 yards. It happened a couple of times, but they put him in motion a lot.
And he caught it.
And he caught it. And he actually showed some pretty good hands. He didn't have any drops last week. But that's what they were doing with Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed was a motion guy for them quite frequently. And then Wicks kind of stepped into that role last week, and it just creates some easy opportunities. I know Kraft or Kelsey this week. Not that most people have that decision, but Kelsey's got a good setup.
Kraft.
All right, sit Joe Flacco. Right now, the Packers are allowing the fewest yards per attempt in the NFL. Flacco's probably going to throw 45 times, but sit him. We already said sit the Browns running backs if you can. Because you can't even look at Dylan Sampson right now and say, oh, he's doing all this stuff as a pass catcher. He had a garbage time receiving touchdown. He ran 9 routes. Jerome Ford ran 24 last week. Ford had most of the catches.
Nobody's thinking about starting any Browns running backs.
I mean, I hope not. But some people out there, like Pacheco or a Browns running. Oh, Heath, you said.
Yeah, Pacheco. I already said it. It's Pacheco over all the Browns.
Jamey, how about you?
I think Pacheco's going to have a good game this week, so I would start Pacheco.
Someone's making Pacheco jokes at my expense. I accept it. All right. So if Judy's your highest ranked Browns wide receiver, where is he ranked?
33.
Outside the top 36.
Just hear me out, right? Like they're going to lose. They're going to be trailing. They're going to throw 45 times. He's going to get his 7 to 8 targets. He can't be that bad, can he?
I said 33.
What was last week?
It was bad. But what was last week? It was 4 catches. It was 9.1 fantasy points, 4 for 51 on 8 targets.
I mean, he hasn't scored a touchdown yet. He's got plenty of target competition at this point. Yeah. The receivers, I mean, think about the receivers that they faced so far. Deebo Samuel is the only one that has done well. So you could say McLaurin, disconnect with the quarterback, the Holden situation. You want to blame it on that? Fine. I think you got to factor in the defense as well. You go into week 1, they shut down Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams. Like, this is not a defense you want to play with at this point, So I just think when you look at Judy, when you look at Tillman, they're in that mix of, do I need a number 3 receiver at this point? Like, Judy's been a bust, and Tillman's been a nice surprise. I really think it comes down to someone will probably score a touchdown. One of the 2 tight ends, one of the 2 receivers. Maybe it's a running back out of the backfield catching the ball. Flacco will get his 1, but this could just be absolutely ugly. I'm surprised, honestly, and I know they're on the road, that the Bills spread is as big as it is, and this is not.
This is 7.5.
I think the big difference is the Browns defense is so good.
The Browns defense is very good, but the Browns offense could be non-existent.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the final score of the Ravens-Browns game last week. They were really hanging in there for 3 quarters. They just need their offense to help them out a little bit. Okay, and then so we're going to start Fannin over Njoku, I assume, at this point?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, where's Fannin for you? Guys like him?
Right around 10.
I think he's 8, and Njoku might be 12. That's the one position so far this season that's been good against the Packers.
Yeah, very good. You're right. And I guess, Heath, you're going to like both of those guys better than Hockenson. Jamey, how about you?
I do like them both better than Hockenson. I just think, again, Hockenson is more of a, if you have him and there's nobody else better on waivers, like you can still take a shot on him. So like better than Jatavion Sanders, for example, or Hunter Henry or Brenton Strange, the guys that let us down last week. Juwan Johnson should be ahead of Hockenson. But I think in the case of Fannin, look, you're hoping that there's a little more opportunities. If you look at the two tight ends that have faced Green Bay so far this season, Laporta was great. Ertz was great. So one of the two of them will hopefully play well, if not both.
Also, Fannon's still available in 48% of leagues.
That's wild.
I made a trade offer where I lost Kittle, 10-team leagues, lost Kittle, picked up both Juwan Johnson and Fannin. So I offered Juwan Johnson and Tyrone Tracy for Jalen Warren and Ramondre Stevenson. To the manager who has Mark Andrews and nobody else.
Start the Packers DST. And let's go. Oh, wait, I can answer some questions real quick. Sorry. Dobbs, Judy, or DJ Moore?
Moore.
Ooh, I think, I have Moore one spot ahead of Judy.
Kraft or Keon Coleman as
Kraft.
a flex?
Yeah, Kraft.
Kraft or Juwan Johnson?
Kraft.
Kraft.
Dylan Sampson, Pacheco, or Charbonnet?
I would go Pacheco.
If Charbonnet is okay, it will be him. If not, it's Pacheco.
Fannin or Troy Franklin?
Fannin.
I'll go Franklin.
All right. Next game, Detroit is at Baltimore. Stat of the game number 1, Jared Goff has faced the Ravens 3 times in his career and has never thrown a touchdown pass against the Ravens. What's encouraging, though, I kind of alluded to this. The Ravens have seen 94 pass attempts in 2 weeks. Buffalo and Cleveland, both quarterbacks throwing over 40 passes. I think, they're averaging 47 pass attempts per game. So that's my question, right? I know the expectations for the Lions passing game. You're starting St. Brown, you're starting Laporta most likely. Goff and Jamey, you talked about them earlier as guys you want to get away from, but are they going to throw 40 times? It keeps happening against Baltimore. Your thoughts?
How many times did Goff throw in week 1?
I mean, I know he was bad in week 1. He threw 39 times at Green Bay and scored 12.9 fantasy points. But if he throws 40 times, I think he's probably going to be good.
Heath loves that when it's the one more number right against it.
Yeah, no, if he was
39, he's stumped, but 40, he's going to be great.
He's not a must sit. Like we don't have him top 12. I think he's 13th for me. I don't expect a good week, and it could be a terrible week. But I also understand 20% of the league might be missing their starting quarterback this week. And so if you need to start him, it's fine.
I would rather start Daniel Jones. I would rather start Jake Browning. And I would rather start Mac Jones.
I might be the Jared Goff guy.
You're only 3 spots higher on Goff than Jamey is. Jamey's 16th.
He just named the 3 guys that are in between.
Maybe 16th for Jamey, 14th for Dave, 13th for Heath. So far, Josh Allen scored 43 fantasy points with 2 rushing touchdowns, and Joe Flacco had a bad game against Baltimore.
He'll be somewhere in between. I mean, he's not Josh Allen, clearly, and he's better than Joe Flacco. It's just this is not the spot where he has done well. Even last year when he is at his best, it is indoors. It is when he gets protection, and this is the scenario where he has not been good.
But there were only 3 outdoor games that he played last year.
Okay, 2 years ago. Excuse me.
No, right. But if you go on last year, like last year he was bad at Green Bay, and then he scored 31 points at Chicago and at San Francisco on 32 and 34 pass attempts. He threw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in both games. Now, those were
2 of the worst defenses in the league at the time.
Yeah. I just think, right. Okay. I guess the case is if Jared Goff is the guy from last year, which he probably is, and he was on fire last year, then it didn't matter where he was playing. I understand. I think everyone's on the same page. He's not a must start. He's not necessarily a must sit. I mean, the lowest we have him ranked is 16th. Every team's playing this week. So, all right, Detroit running backs, you're going to start Gibbs.
It's also a
Montgomery.
week where we're down Jane Daniels, we're down Joe Burrow, we're down Justin Fields. Like there's a lot of crappy quarterbacks.
Oh yeah. Montgomery or Jerry Jeudy.
So the one thing that's interesting with Montgomery is you go back to week 1 and they were trailing and he had 4 catches. And so they seem to involve him in the passing game when they're down. It's not just all Jahmyr Gibbs, although Gibbs might have been tired after catching 10 passes in that game. I would probably go Jeudy in PPR and Montgomery in non and flip a coin in half.
I'll go Jeudy in PPR or half and Montgomery in non.
I would agree with that.
And by the way, James Cook had 5 catches against Baltimore in week 1. That's a lot for him. Jerome Ford had 5 catches last week. Judkins had 3. Sampson had 3. That is something that the Ravens do. They give up a lot of receptions and receiving yards to running backs. Jameson Williams is a sit, basically, a number 4 receiver for Jamey and Heath. Dave is a little higher on him, more like a number 3 receiver. Start Laporta. Jackson, start. Henry, start. Flowers, must start guy. He's top 13. Mark Andrews is what, Heath?
He's not top 13, not even at tight end. I think I'd be more likely to drop him than start him.
And just keep an eye. We'll find out today. Likely may practice.
So let's do some JMO questions. Obviously, you're going to start Jordan Mason over him. How about, I hope you didn't answer this already, Tony Pollard versus Jameson Williams?
Pollard.
Giants running back or Jameson Williams?
If Tracy is out, Scatterboo easily. If Tracy is in, still JMO.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see if I got any questions here from the chat for this game. It was a trade question. Jameson and Dobbins for Bucky Irving. Is that a fair trade?
Not for the Bucky manager.
No.
Would much rather get Bucky Irving there. How about Jameson for Breece Hall? Is that a fair trade?
No. I'd rather have Breece Hall.
Okay. It seems
this is a big game for Breece Hall.
Like he's going to have a big game, or it's a prove it game?
This is like a prove it game for Breece Hall.
Well, it's a tough matchup for him.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break. And would you start the Ravens DST?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go and start. No, actually, I wouldn't. There's so many good options out there. Like Seattle's better, Atlanta's better. I wouldn't necessarily be making a ad drop per se if you don't have a lot of great options, but this was a good week of waiver wire DSTs.
Jennings or JMO from the chat?
Jennings.
Jennings.
Okay. All right, now we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk about the Jaguars and the Texans, and I'll tell you what's wrong with Houston's offense. We'll be right back.
Can I get a spot real quick?
Yeah, sure, man. Hey, wait a minute. You're Dave Richard from FFT.
Yeah.
Huh. Hey, I snagged Alvin Kamara in the 4th round. What do you think?
Is it PPR?
Yeah, full point.
All right, welcome back. We've got 6 games left. Houston at Jacksonville. What's wrong with Houston's offense? They are last in one category offensively. Can you guess what it is?
Motion. Pre-snap.
Pass blocking.
I'm not sure. Maybe they are. But I can tell you it's third down rate. It's definitely one thing they're worse than. I was actually surprised. They have the 8th lowest 3-and-out rate. So that's good. They're not going 3 and out a lot, but they stink on third down. They also have the 6th most plays of 20 or more yards. So they've run the 3rd fewest plays. They cannot convert third downs. I suspect they have a lot of 3rd and longs because their run game stinks. Anyway, Houston at Jacksonville. Who are the must starts in this game, Jamey?
Nico Collins is a must start. Brian Thomas Jr. is still a must start. Travis Etienne is a must start.
But I got to ask you here, because unless you haven't updated them, I think you have Brian Thomas Jr. 24th.
You're still starting Brian Thomas Jr.
Okay. Heath, who are the must starts in this game? Any disagreement?
No disagreement.
I want to say something. I've been debating whether or not I should say it.
Say it.
You sure?
You tweeted it, so say it. I know what you're going to say.
What am I going to say?
Bashal Tutin's better than Travis Etienne.
Well,
Oh, you already said that on Twitter.
I am blown away by how good he has looked. And I think he could be. Someone said, that Travis Etienne is Rachaad White and Basil Tutin is Bucky Irving from last year. And I
That's
don't
what
know.
everybody was saying all offseason.
Right. But now it looks like it. And I just think
it doesn't look like it yet because
so-
Rachaad White was running terribly, and Travis Etienne's been one of the most pleasant surprises of the start of the season.
Yeah, but last week wasn't a great week for Etienne. It was basically one run and a jet sweep for 9 yards and a 30-yard run to the outside. He was terrible in between the tackles. Anyway, I just think that I would just call him Putin, that Basil Tutin is someone that you should try to buy now. I don't know that he's going to take over, but I think his value might be at his lowest. So just right now.
He also banged up his shoulder in the game. He's on the injury report with a shoulder injury. Just something to keep an eye on there. Look, it's an interesting week for the Jaguars running backs because the Texans couldn't stop the Bucs last week. Just running backs in general. I mean, 10 for 65 for Rachaad White. Him averaging 6.5 yards per carry is not the norm, especially with the offensive line being banged up a little bit. And Irving was just making plays all over the field. So the Jaguars can certainly do something similar.
Also, the other reason why I'm saying this is because Pete on the Draftathon, Pete Prisco, said he felt that Tutin would be their starting running back because even when they had Tank Bigsby, if he was better in pass protection. So obviously they like Basil Tutin quite a bit. Anyway, I just was really blown away by how good he was last week, and I think he's got an opportunity to really help your fantasy team. All right, so if Christian Kirk plays, would you consider him? Like, we don't like Jameson Williams. We don't love the Browns wide receivers. Would you throw Christian Kirk
back? No.
All right, got to see it. Starter sit Trevor Lawrence or CJ Stroud?
No.
That's it.
How about Basil Tutin versus Jameson Williams and Jerry Jeudy and those guys?
I would still start the receivers.
Yep.
But you're not wrong. The changing we could see this backfield changing quickly.
No, I mean, I don't want to discount ETN. He's obviously had a really good start to the season, and I don't think he was great last week, but I do think he was great against the Panthers. I went back and watched that again, and he killed them in between the tackles, and he was terrific. So it's not that. You're right, Heath. Like, it's not Rachaad White. Rachaad White was not running well.
And Rachaad White ran awesome on Monday night.
Rachaad White started running pretty well. I think even late last year started doing a little bit better. But it just felt like, Bucky was better, and I think Tutin might be better. And do you guys remember his touchdown catch last week? That move he made on the linebacker? Oh my gosh, it was nasty.
But again, and I think I'm not even disagreeing with you. It's just, this is advice for maybe trying to get him thrown in on a trade. Yeah. Or trading somebody a low end starter that you don't need. It's not advice that we're going to put the guy into the starting lineup yet.
100%. Yeah. But I think he could be an interesting flex if you have Travion Henderson, if you have Marion Hampton. Like, where is Tutin for you guys this week compared to some of the guys who have been struggling?
He's still behind all those guys.
I would take Henderson over him for this week. I would take him over Harvey.
About Hampton?
I would start Hampton over him.
Okay. Travis Hunter, any interest?
No.
Okay.
I don't want to. I think I have to in a couple leagues. He's wide receiver 40-ish.
Brian Thomas Jr. at some point in this game is going to run by Derek Stingley Jr. And it's going to be up to Trevor Lawrence to deliver a good ball. And it did not. He beat him a few times, and Lawrence didn't really deliver. And I think maybe Mac Jones too. They both played in the second game. Sit Brenton Strange, I assume. And start the Texans DST. They have 7 sacks, but they are just not giving up a lot of points. All right, Colts are at the Titans. I already gave the stat of the game. It's about Tony Pollard and finally getting a good opportunity here after facing Denver and the Rams. But you guys have him as a number 2 running back. Tony Pollard over under 13 PPR fantasy points this week.
Over.
Over.
15.
Under.
Okay. 15 is, as Jamey said, basically what Jordan Mason averaged. If you're talking about just these 2 running backs, well, I don't know. I'm comparing him to Mason because I think they both have great opportunities in good matchups. That's what Mason averaged last year with the 49ers in his 6 games as a featured back. All right, Daniel Jones. Why are you so low on Daniel Jones, Heath? Jamey has him 10th. Dave has him 12th. You have him 22nd. He is number 1 in football in yards per attempt.
Isn't it fun to be back here again? Like, it was probably 6-7 years ago that you got to say, why are you so low on Daniel Jones, Heath? And now you get to say it again. And this isn't the case with all guys, but I'm a little slower at the beginning of the year with guys who have been terrible for 7 years to react to their first 2 games. And the first 2, like, there's a couple of things different in this game. The first 2 games were indoors. Now they go outside. They're on the road for the first time. The Titans have been pretty good against quarterbacks. The Titans may not be able to score any points, so it may be a lower pass volume game. A decent portion of Jones' fantasy production is the fact that he has 3 touchdowns from the 1-yard line rushing already. I don't know how sustainable that is, but mostly it's just the entire history of Daniel Jones.
Did you know that Daniel Jones scored 22.3 or more fantasy points in 3 of his first 5 games last year?
I did not.
So, yeah.
Did you know that Derek Carr was QB2 and led the NFL at 11.5 yards per pass attempt through week 2 last year?
Both home games, right?
And they were 3-point favorites over the Eagles in week 3.
Wow. And they all got hurt. All right, Jamey, why are you high on Daniel Jones? 10th overall this week, ahead of Jared Goff, ahead of who else? You have Daniel Jones ahead of Drake May, just 1 spot, Jordan Love, Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers, etc.
I like what I've seen. I mean, he's really doing a great job running this offense. And yes, as Heath pointed to, you take away the 1-yard plunge last week, and it's a different fantasy day for him. But the fact that he did that against Denver, is something I think you got to take a little bit of a note of. Yes, the Titans defense has played well. I think Matthew Stafford exposed them a little bit, and nobody's going to ever think that Daniel Jones is Matthew Stafford or this receiving core is as good as what the Rams have. But I think this is a game where Daniel Jones will use the legs a little bit more. And just looking at what the quarterback situation is for the week, again, with all the guys that are missing, for a guy that's gotten off to the start, I think it's worth buying into. So can he turn into a pumpkin? Obviously, that's been the nature of his career. And you mentioned Adam got off to a great start last year and then started to get banged up a little bit. But with the way that he's playing in this offense, maybe it was just getting the opportunity to be coached at a higher level, and he's responding well.
I love the Dable shot there.
Well, I think actually, look, the first year he played with Dable,
Not just Dable, it's the entire coaching staff he's had in his history with Giants.
No, but I think the first year with Dable, he was pretty good, right? They went to the playoffs. They won a playoff game. Thomas, I forget who they beat. If you could maybe just tell me in the chat. But they seem to be tricking people that year. They were running a lot of misdirection and they just throwing to open guys. And Dable was scheming guys open. And so far this year, that's kind of what the Colts are doing. I mean, Jonathan Taylor was wide open on his touchdown. He's shaking his head. It just feels like he's as Jamey said, he's running the offense very well. And I give Steichen a lot of credit for what he's designing.
The first year that Dable was in New York, he was pretty good because Dable he ran for 708 yards and had 120 rush attempts in 16 games. And they didn't have him throw hardly at all. As a passer, the first year he was with Brian Dable, he averaged 6.8 yards per pass attempt and threw 15 touchdowns in 16 games.
Okay, but he didn't throw a lot.
That's it. The key to Daniel Jones being good with Brian Dable was don't let him throw.
But he also stopped throwing interceptions that year. But but he did. The Giants' offense was surprising people, and then it stopped because he was adjusted. Right now, I think the Colts are creating a lot of open opportunities.
Yeah, I said it on Twitter earlier this week. Like I've gotten to the point to where I think he's a starter in Superflex leagues. If he's good against the Titans, then I'll get him into that borderline top 12 range. If he's good next week at the Rams, so as good as that defense has been against quarterbacks, then all my objections will go away. But I'm not buying it after 2 home games.
I don't want to make it sound like I am either. I think
you've been the Daniel Jones defender for 7 years.
Well, I think it's the offense. I think it's he's running this Colts offense very well, as Jamey said.
Yeah, he is.
Start Jonathan Taylor. Any interest in Pittman or Downs this week?
I would go back to Pittman as a number 3 receiver. So I like him better than Jalen Waddle. I like him better than the Browns receivers. Trying to think of anybody else we spoke about. He's in that mid-tier number 3 receiver range.
I've got Pittman as a number 4. I just don't feel a lot of confidence about whether it's Pittman or Downs on a weekly basis, and I don't think that there's going to be very often they're both good.
All right.
Pittman in his last 2 games at Tennessee scored a touchdown in both those games. Again, it was one game against a crappy secondary, one game against the best secondary in football.
Right, and he did see a lot of Surtain last week, and there was actually a play in this game where he wasn't lined up on Surtain, where he just ran a crossing route over the middle, kind of underneath, and it would have been, I really think it would have been a touchdown if he had caught it. It was a little bit low for Pittman. He dropped it, might have been the bad throw, but it was a makeable play and probably a touchdown. And if he scores a touchdown in that game after a touchdown in week 1, his start percentage probably goes up 20%. That's just how people work. But you see the stat line, 4 catches for 40 yards on 5 targets. Also, L'Jarius Sneed, by the way, I love him. He shadowed Devontae Adams pretty much the entire game last week. And he did pretty well in the first half. And then Adams destroyed him in the second half. Destroyed him.
Pittman's not Devontae Adams.
No, he's not. But he might get shadowed by Sneed. I'd be interested to see that. Start Tyler Warren.
And Sneed didn't practice yesterday, right?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not surprised if he didn't because I know he's been dealing with stuff. Start Tyler Warren. And for the Titans, sit Cam Ward, Tony Pollard. We've already talked about him enough. What do you think about Ridley and
Eric
Io Manor? Elick.
It's so funny how you're like always want to make sure you get everybody's names right, and you won't call him Tet, but you'll call him Eric.
But then I always correct it. I just like the hitting the button.
I know. Ridley's in the mix of the same guys. Like I'm not fully buying in yet. I need to see a little bit more. The rapport between him and Cam Ward has not been great. Granted, there's been some tough matchups, but
would you say it's been rapport?
Yes, that's good.
Thank you.
So he's at best a number 3 receiver. I'd start him over Jameson Williams. I'd rather start Pittman.
Yeah, I've got it right now. Ridley, Pittman, Downs, Elick.
Okay.
Io Manor is somebody you definitely want on your bench.
Any questions for this game, folks? Would you start Basil Tootin or Calvin Ridley?
Ridley.
Okay. Got a question. Tootin or Pollard? That's got to be Pollard.
Pollard.
Does Jonathan Taylor go for 100 yards?
Probably.
Maybe go for 200.
Adam is in too good of a mood this morning. Is there such a thing? Daniel Jones or Dak Prescott?
Dak.
Daniel Jones or Caleb Williams?
Caleb.
Is Tyler Warren a start even though there's an injury? Yeah. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on that, but right now we're starting him. Daniel Jones or Drake May?
I will make that switch. I'll go May over Jones.
May.
Yeah, May's got a nice matchup too, assuming the Steelers are as injured as they look to be. Pollard or Henderson or Hampton?
Pollard.
Yeah.
Adam woke up and played the song Walking on Sunshine as he danced around the kitchen. No, I wasn't you know what, Johnny Airport? I am in a good mood. I got a lot of work done yesterday. Usually I'm playing catch up. I didn't have anything to do this morning. Like, it was a good morning. You're right. I guess I'm exuding that. All right. Jets are at Tampa Bay. Potentially useless stat of the game, number 1. In 2024, Tampa Bay. So here's the pretext: is the Bucs have had a great run defense since the second half of last year and early on this year. They're giving up 2.2 yards per carry to running backs.
Isn't it just annually when Vita Vea is healthy?
Basically, yeah. They face Bijan Robinson and Nick Chubb. But you're going, well, Kalijah Cansey's out for the season. Does that matter? Well, here's why it's a potentially useless stat. Last year, they played 4 games with Vea and without Cansey. And the Bucs run defense was great against Brian Robinson Jr. and David Montgomery, and horrible against Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, and Bijan Robinson. So there's nothing to do with that. Potentially useless stat of the game, number 2. Tyrod Taylor has a career 1.6% interception rate. That is better than Patrick Mahomes. So maybe not so fast if you want to start the Bucs DST. I don't know. But anyway, this is a fun game. Like, how do we feel? There's some interesting calls here. Hall, Evans, Ibuka, Wilson. I think a lot of people are going to have questions about all of these guys. Heath, how much do you like those 4 players?
Breece Hall is a top 12 running back. I'm starting him and not really even thinking twice about it. Same thing for Mike Evans. I like Wilson over Ibuka, but they're both number 2 wide receivers.
And I could make a strong case against that. Just say it's bad matchups. I mean, Bijan Robinson averaged 2 yards per carry. Nick Chubb had that late touchdown against the Bucs because I think they may have been letting him score, but I'm not sure about that. I haven't seen any confirmation. And then Evans is going to get shadowed by Sauce Gardner. And so far he's been shadowed by AJ Terrell and he's been shadowed by Derek Stingley and he's been bad. So take that, Heath.
Yeah, like I said, it's 2 weeks. And I don't know that I'm ready for the Sauce Gardner shadow to be, like you've even said, occasionally those guys they're going to have plays where Sauce Gardner's not on him.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't know who you would start over Mike Evans. Like you wanted us to sit Brian Thomas earlier, and a lot of people are.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
I did not.
Like we could put Jacoby Myers over Mike Evans if you would like.
He's been better.
Yeah,
I think there's a good case for it this week. Jamey, how about you, Evans or Jacoby?
I would start Jacoby. I'd start Zay Flowers over him. I would start Deebo Samuel over him.
Okay, you're lower on Evans. You have him like 24th. You kind of have him. You kind of feel the same way about Evans as you do about Brian Thomas Jr. It seems.
I mean, look, he's had tough matchups, and there's another guy stepping up. And what was the case last year?
Yes, it's similar, yeah, because he had tough matchups in those first 6 games with Godwin. When he did, Denver and New Orleans. New Orleans always a tough matchup for him. He was bad, and I think Godwin was good. Would you start Ibuka over him, over Mike Evans?
I would.
Heath?
No.
Would you start Garrett Wilson over Mike Evans?
No.
No.
I would not.
Jets quarterbacks have thrown 22 passes in both games. But Garrett Wilson is a start. He's 25th for Jamey, I think, and he's 16th for Heath. And Dave's right in the middle. So, yeah, actually, give the Bucs credit. They've done well against Drake London. 15 targets, 55 yards. And they did well enough against Nico Collins. He almost had 2 touchdowns. So it seems like we have maybe good starts in this game, but not great, according to Jamey. And we do have, and Heath is higher on Breece Hall and Mike Evans specifically. Jamey, why are you not as high? I think you have Breece Hall 24th.
This run defense is great. And we have a 2-game sample size of what this offense could look like, the highs and the lows. Now, the week 2 game against Buffalo, I don't think is the true indication of what they're going to look like. And I don't think week 1 is a true indication of what they're going to look like. That's what I said. It's kind of a prove-it game for Breece Hall. Not that anybody's getting away from him. I mean, the one league where I have Breece Hall, I made a trade to acquire Malik Neighbors with the hope that Breece Hall can still be a very serviceable starting option for me. And I hope that's the case. I mean, I have my concerns about this offense and him coming into the season. So what happened last week was the lows of the lows. But I'll go back to this, and maybe the game flow and what his role is changes. But I was concerned about him in the passing game. And we have 2 catches so far on 7 targets. 4 catches on 7 targets, 2 each game. Mm-hmm. So no touchdowns, no receptions. Like, that's the definition of a trap back. And he was fantastic in week 1 because he did a lot of he was hit behind the line of scrimmage so many times against the Steelers and was able to escape that. And then they get blown out by Buffalo. That's not happening this week. I don't think so. But
yeah, we haven't really talked about it. I mean, do you think that Tyrod Taylor changes anything for better or worse for Hall?
I think better.
I think there'll be more rush attempts for him, at least.
For Hall, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. And Tyrod Taylor does have a pretty solid history of throwing to his running backs. Just most recently, he made 4 starts with the Giants in 2023, and Saquon Barkley had 4, 6, 5, and 2 targets. But there are more examples than that. Tyrod Taylor, by the way, I mean, he hasn't been that bad. You know, he's doesn't have the upside of Justin Fields, but he might get you 20 points if you're in a pinch. Okay, I do have some questions in the chat. We'll get to those in a minute. Would you start? How do we feel about Ibuka? Where do you guys have Ibuka ranked?
I mean, it's hard not to consider him a must-start receiver at this point. Like, everything that Baker does well works well for him. He finds the end zone.
Yeah. Touchdown rate.
Yeah, I think he's 24 for me, and I'm trying to not doubt the Baker touchdown rate's going to regress at some point, but it obviously hasn't at the start of this year. But it has been a very, like Jamey's right, it has been a very Baker success because he's got 8 catches for 96 yards in 2 games. Like, that's not anywhere close to a must-start wide receiver.
Right.
It's almost, I don't know exactly, but it's basically what Jalen McMillan was doing last year.
It's what it is what Mike Evans has done a lot of times. The targets aren't that high, the catches aren't that high, but he scores a touchdown every week, so it doesn't matter. And now Mike Evans not scoring any touchdowns, and Ibuka's scoring them all.
And again, if you're looking at it, this is what the pros and cons are of Mike Evans. The pros are he's drawing the toughest cover. The cons are he's drawing the toughest cover. It's opening up Ibuka for key opportunities. And if you go back to week 1 for the Steelers, well, what happened in that game? DK Metcalf was essentially negated. And Calvin Austin has a big game, scores a touchdown. Skoranek scores a touchdown. Aaron Rodgers throws for 4. And DK's numbers are decent. Like, I could see Mike Evans 4 for 83.
One thing we haven't seen yet is Baker Mayfield throw a short touchdown pass. His shortest touchdown pass this year is 9 yards. Other than that, it's 15, 20, 25, and 30.
Yeah, but he's like, what, 6'1"? I mean, that's not tall.
I'd also think, like,
Mike Evans,
watch the Ibuka injury.
Yeah.
Because he didn't do hardly anything at all late in that game. And then he didn't practice on Wednesday. And let's make sure he's 100% before we run him out there.
All right, and then Mike Evans, I was just going to say, he had 5 or 6 touchdown catches last year from the 1 or 2 yard line. They love to throw fades. They haven't really had those opportunities this year. Start Bucky Irving, Rashad White, or Bashal Tootin?
Tootin.
I have White 1 spot behind Tootin.
All right, here are some questions from the chat. Breece Hall or James Conner?
Conner.
Hall.
Breece Hall, Jalen Warren, Ken Walker. Sit one.
Hall.
It depends on Charbonnet's status, but right now it would be Walker. If Charbonnet's out, it'd be Warren.
AJ Brown or Garrett Wilson?
Brown.
Wilson.
Mike Evans, Calvin Ridley, Keon Coleman. Evans, right?
Evans.
Yep.
Devontae Adams or Evans?
Adams.
I've got Evans.
Breece Hall or DeAndre Swift?
Swift.
Ooh, I have them back to back, and I have Hall.
Evans or
Wow,
Metcalf?
your guy.
I know. Wow.
Well, they're both top 12.
Evans or Metcalf?
Evans.
Evans.
Ibuka for Hall. I don't know if this is a trade. Ibuka for Hall.
I would rather have Hall right now.
Yep.
Breece Hall or Bill?
Hall.
I'll take Bill this week.
All right, let's take a break. And
That's actually a good one. Who has more receptions this week? Breece Hall or Bill? I would hope it's Hall.
oh,
with
Hall.
With no
Well,
Eckler, we may have a new role for him.
Yeah. All right, we'll see. Let's take a break. Giants.
2.5 over under. Who hits it?
Wait, what'd you say? What's the under?
2.5 receptions is the over under. Who hits it?
Definitely Breece Hall.
Over for Hall, under for JC.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't been over yet.
He hasn't, but they've only thrown 44 passes in 2 games. All right, we'll take a break, come back, and talk Giants-Chiefs, obviously. Be right back.
Only only CBS Sports can bring you big time during the heart of Saturday afternoons. It's big time.
It's big time. It's big time. It's big time.
On CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.
Stat of the game for Chiefs at Giants. Chiefs are going to win. But also, Patrick Mahomes is averaging 8.5 air yards per pass attempt. That is up 2 yards from the previous 2 seasons. He's still throwing a lot of short passes, but he's also mixing in many more deep balls. Deep ball percentage is way up for Mahomes, and this is really encouraging. I mean, he's getting a lot of points on those deep balls. So I was a little surprised at how high you guys had Patrick Mahomes. You had him top 6. Dave has him 3rd. Heath, you want to explain? I guess my thought was like, it's kind of be an easy win. But what do you think?
I just don't know if they can run the ball, and I don't know if they can win easily. They're not very good right now. So he has to play Superman, and he's doing that by just running all over the place. He's running more often than he ever has, and he's running more efficiently than he ever has. And I don't think the Giants defense is very good, and he might get Xavier Worthy back.
And that is exciting news if he gets Xavier Worthy back. So Pacheco is around RB 30 for you guys. We still don't want to start him, but the Giants are giving up the most fantasy points to running backs, 5.7 yards per carry to running backs, the 5th most yards before contact per carry to running backs. It's about as good as a matchup can get for Pacheco.
He's going to go for 75 and a touchdown.
I think the real question is, is it him or is it Kareem Hunt? I think one of them will have a good fantasy day, but I think Hunt's more likely to score if they're inside the 5.
So
where did he go to college?
Oh, he went to Rutgers.
Oh, here we go.
Back to Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Pacheco game.
He's going to be on my bench for his good game. So how do you...
But again, everything he said is right. There's no reason to trust Isaiah Pacheco. There's the unknown about who gets the touchdown. There's maybe a role change. Dave talked about this earlier. Do they start to give Brashard Smith more touches just because he might have more explosiveness? I just think we've seen 2 games against 2 fantastic defenses. They've been trailing in both of those games. They haven't had an opportunity to run the ball. And now you're looking at this Giants defense, 8.2 yards per carry allowed to Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. What was it? 19 for 90 for Javonte Williams. Those guys are probably better running backs than Pacheco at this point. But this is the opportunity that he needs. Now, I will say this. He has a good game. You sell him immediately.
Right. All right. Chiefs wide receivers. And no, you don't sell them to me. I'm not going to be buying.
Yeah, Adam, we were telling you to sell them. No, none of us haven't. You haven't won.
Xavier Worthy, is he a must start if he plays?
I would say he's a high-end number 3 receiver. So I would start him over Ridley. I start him over Jameson Williams. I start him over Pittman. So 3 guys we talked about. Start him over both Browns receivers.
I put him 1 spot ahead of Wandale, and Wandale I think is at 30 for me. So everything that I see suggests that the risk for re-injury is pretty significant for this injury. And so we'll see what they have him do.
All right. But the Giants really stink. I mean...
Oh, they're terrible.
Look, just last week, Lamb 112 yards, Pickens 68 yards and a touchdown. Kevontae Turpin 47 yards and a touchdown. Terry McLaurin should have had a 72-yard touchdown, but Jaden Daniels overthrew him. Deebo Samuel had a huge game. They just stink. If he doesn't play, where would Marquise Brown be for you? If Worthy doesn't play,
in that 30 to 36 range, where he is now,
probably pretty close to where Worthy is.
All right, let's talk about the Giants here. And starters at Russell Wilson. Sorry. Kelsey is top 9. You're going to start him. Starters.
And he was added in several leagues, and he's certainly one of our most viewed players. Don't start Tyquan Thornton yet. If you want to roster him, I get it. To see what happens. But if Worthy plays, definite no. If Worthy's out, boom bust, number 4 receiver.
I think I'm the high guy on Russell Wilson, which was surprising. Like I said, this is nostalgia week with the Daniel Jones and the Russell Wilson stuff. He's not a starter in the top 12 sense, but I think he is top 15 for me. And if you're in a desperate situation and you need to start him, I don't think you should feel terrible about it.
Which Giants running back do you prefer if they both play?
Scatterbo.
Scattaboo and on and a half. I think I'd still take Tracy in full.
Who's the best running back in this game?
I'll take Pacheco.
It depends on if Tracy plays. If Tracy's out, Scattaboo.
Oh, I agree with that.
Tracy was limited, so I assume he's going to play.
Okay.
Malik, well, usually most guys who are limited on Wednesday end up playing.
I just said okay.
Yeah. Let's Malik Neighbors start. Wan'Dale Robinson. He's a number 3 or number 4 guy. Are we expecting more like the 11.5 fantasy points he scored in week 1?
I mean, I go into every week with him with that's the floor. And so, what version do we see? And typically, not that you're going to shut down Malik Neighbors, but I mean, they're going to do a good job on trying to take him out of the game. And there should be opportunities for Russell Wilson to lean on Wan'Dale. But don't overvalue him based on last week because that most likely was fluky.
I think last week was fluky. I think, and I don't know, I didn't see what the ADOT was after week 1, but I think the really encouraging thing so far is that the ADOT has exploded and the catch rate and the target rate have stuck around. Usually if you start getting targeted further down the field, you don't catch 75% of your targets, which Wan'Dale's still doing so far.
Yeah, but it was the ADOT was 3 yards in week 1 and 16 yards in week 2. So it's just one game. He had the highest ADOT of his career.
Which is a great reminder of exactly how big of a sample 2 weeks is for any of these stats we're talking about.
I have to choose between 2 of 3. Wan'Dale Robinson, Jerry Jeudy, and Keon Coleman. And what I can tell you right now is Wan'Dale is definitely going to be in my lineup.
Yeah, for sure.
It's great options. Okay, so I guess I could put Pacheco in there, but nope, he's going to be on the bench.
You're gonna regret it.
I don't. I hope not. Well, I hope so. Chiefs DST is a start. Denver at the Chargers. We have 2 games left, guys. Let's see if we can knock these out in 5 minutes here. Let me see. Chat questions. Scattaboo, Tracy, or Tyler Algier half PPR?
Scattaboo.
Any other chat questions for this game? Worthy if he plays or Matthew Golden?
Worthy.
Kelsey or Jake Ferguson, PPR?
Ferguson.
Yep.
All right, let's move on. Denver's at the Chargers. Going back to Sutton this week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Any hesitation starting Justin Herbert in this matchup?
No.
He's playing too well.
Yeah, we did the risers yesterday at the beginning of the show. I think Herbert definitely could have been one of those guys.
He just gave up more than 20 fantasy points to Daniel Jones.
They did. He also had a good game against them once last year.
Week 16 last year. Yep.
16. 26.2 fantasy points. And he's running again. He's run for 31 yards per game.
He's their leading rusher.
But Justin Herbert also right now career high in yards per attempt by far, career high in rushing yards per game by far, career high in passer rating per game or overall by far. But start Justin Herbert. He's 7th for Jamey and he's 3rd for Heath. Wow. Herbert or Mahomes?
Herbert.
I'll take Mahomes.
Okay. Are we starting a running back in this game?
Dobbins is my favorite.
Yeah, but I don't want to. None of them are top 24.
Flex.
Okay. Dobbins or Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnston?
Allen, Dobbins, Johnston.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Fair enough. And half PPR, same order? Allen, Dobbins, Johnston?
Yes. Non-PPR
Sure.
Dobbins first. And yes, Brandon, I have been telling dad jokes my whole life.
Bo Nix or Dak Prescott?
Dak Prescott.
Yep.
Bo Nix or Justin Herbert?
Justin Herbert.
Bo Nix or Caleb Williams?
Caleb.
Bo Nix or Kyler Murray?
So wait, you have Caleb in your top 3?
Me?
No, it's Herbert 3rd, not Bo.
You said Caleb.
No, he's saying Bo Nix or not Justin Herbert or. I've got Nix 1 spot ahead of Herbert or of Kyler.
Wait, the confusion is Jamey.
I thought I heard you say Caleb over Herbert.
Oh no, Bo Nix, Caleb.
Oh, I'm sorry. Caleb over Bo Nix for me as well. Yes. Sorry.
Okay. Bo Nix is top 12. There are some guys you could start ahead of him, but he's top 12, even though the Chargers have been Really, really good defensively. But Mahomes scored 27 points to get them. He did have 6 for 57 and a touchdown rushing.
And no Khalil Mack. That's going to be important.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not nothing, but he played 16% of the snaps last week, and their pressure rate was basically exactly the same as it was in week 1. But it is obviously an important piece.
I mean, much better offensive line that they're facing.
How do we feel about Troy Franklin?
I think he's a great stash candidate. If you're desperate for a third receiver, he's certainly in the mix, but not somebody that I'd want to start just yet.
Kind of like Bashal Tootin. I want him on my bench.
Troy Franklin or Quentin Johnston?
Johnston.
Start or sit, Omari and Hampton?
No, sit.
Sit him if you can.
Dobbins or Hampton?
Dobbins.
I literally have them projected for the same number of fantasy points, but I would start Dobbins.
Hampton or Trey Benson, PPR? Hampton or Quentin Johnston?
Johnston.
I've got Hampton.
Some questions from the chat. Bo Nix or Jared Goff?
Nix.
Sutton or Tetterow McMillan?
McMillan. Especially with no Terrell.
Yeah.
Franklin or Hampton?
Hampton.
Okay. All right. We're good. Which DST do you prefer, Denver's or the Chargers?
Denver, slightly.
Okay. Pittsburgh's at New England. Stat of the game. Pittsburgh has allowed 90 or more yards to 3 wide receivers in 2 games. And that would be Garrett Wilson, JSN, and Cooper Kupp. Does anybody want to start a Patriots wide receiver?
No.
And both teams are bottom 5 in yards per attempt allowed. New England actually is the worst. So we've got so far 2 of the worst pass defenses in football. What does that mean for the passing games, Heath? New England and Pittsburgh.
I think DK is probably a guy you're going to start as a number 2 wide receiver. There's not really anybody else on that team you want to start. There's not really anybody on the Patriots you want to start. So I think it means you're starting Drake May, and Aaron Rodgers is in the top 20 for the first time this season for me, and maybe will be even better than that. But these teams just don't have the weapons to. I would expect both teams' pass defenses look a little bit better after this week than they do going into this week.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Jamey, you're somewhat bullish on Aaron Rodgers. You have him 14th.
I mean, look at this Patriots defense so far this season. They allowed 362, 372, whatever it was, to Geno Smith in week 1, and Geno Smith looked absolutely awful last week. They allowed Tua Tagovailoa to go for over 300 yards, so they're allowing nearly 700 yards passing in the first 2 weeks of the season. So Rodgers in a great matchup in week 1, which turned out to be a great matchup in week 1, goes for 4 touchdowns. Like, this could easily be a 250, 280, and 2 for him. I don't think he goes over 300. We know he's kind of been allergic to that since leaving Green Bay. But look at the 2 quarterbacks and how they've performed without playing the Patriots and what they've done against the Patriots.
And they didn't even throw that much. Geno and Tua had 32 to 34 pass attempts and went for 315 or more yards. Also, Rodgers.
It's not like the Steelers are running the ball at a very high level right now.
Right. And Rodgers had 12.4 fantasy points last week and 6 point per touchdown leagues. But he also had an interception in the end zone.
It was an 8-point swing. I'm glad you brought that up.
And it wasn't necessarily his fault either. Apparently, it was kind of a route issue.
It was intended for Pat Freiermuth. Calvin Austin deflected it, and turns out an interception. He was saying all the right things about Austin after the game. He screamed at him during the game. Typical Rodgers.
I know.
But yeah, that's an 8-point swing. And I wonder what the perception of Rodgers is if he has the 244-4 in week 1 and a 20+ point game in week 2, and then you're facing this defense. Like, there's a lot that could be favorable for him this week.
Mm-hmm. You guys like Jaylen Warren? He's right around 20th in the rankings for everybody. So you can start Jaylen Warren. DK Metcalf bounce back?
Low end number 2.
I mean, if Gonzalez plays, it's not as encouraging, but yes, low end number 2 is fair.
Okay. Very disappointing game last week against Seattle. 3 catches, 20 yards, and a touchdown. At least he got you that touchdown. He's been 11 to 12 fantasy points both games so far. And then I'm assuming we're to sit the Pittsburgh tight ends.
Yeah, I think Jonnu Smith's got 27 yards on the season.
Right.
But he might score a touchdown.
He did score a touchdown, and it was a design play, pop past him in the first game. He could score, but I don't want to chase that anymore.
Drake May is top 10, top 11. Drake May or Nix? I think I asked you that. Sorry. May or Nix?
I'll take May.
I've got May now, but they're close enough that keep an eye on it this weekend.
Is there a quarterback who has a really bad matchup that people are going to be sitting? May or Goff? You're going to start May, right?
May.
Yeah. Are you starting a Patriots running back?
No.
Ramondre's in that flex range, as same as Dobbins.
Would you start Pacheco over them?
No.
Don't.
Would you start Stephon Diggs over the Patriots running back?
I'd start him over Henderson.
I would not.
I mean, it's really weird. We just don't like any of the Patriots, but Drake May is top 10 or top 11 or whatever.
There's going to be somebody who comes out of this game. Look, Booty scored last week. Didn't do very much. Someone will come out of this game with quality production. I mean, you think about week 1, right? Booty was solid, and Henry was okay. And then last week, he's using his legs. He gets big plays out of Ramondre Stevenson. I think this is kind of be this offense until Diggs maybe gets hopefully up to speed and starts to make some more plays.
And don't forget, it's not just that the Steelers have been bad so far this year defensively. They are so beat up. Highsmith is a huge injury for them. Joey Porter Jr. is a big-time injury for them. They are really injured. So, I mean, maybe they're not quite as injured as I'm making it out to be. They're not the Bears, but those two injuries are very, very bad ones for them.
And I'll just say, Drake May scored 30 fantasy points last week, I think. And he did not have a wide receiver with 40 receiving yards or a tight end.
Yeah, he had such a good game. 19 of 23, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 31 yards rushing and a rushing touchdown. What a game. Josh Allen, meet the Miami Dolphins tonight. Which DST do you like better? Because I assume we're not starting Hunter Henry.
Neither one.
Okay. All right. Get away from the DSTs. Well, that was the longest show we've ever done. But it was good. It was fun. Thank you all for watching and listening. I appreciate all of you. I know it's long shows, but I hope you're liking the info. Before the bye weeks, we have 8 games on Thursday to talk about. It gets to be a lot. I'm going to stop rambling, and we will talk to you tomorrow on Fantasy Football Today.